Hey everybody, this is Greg where Greg said it. I just had to jump on here because something really hit my spirit. Just talking about Coach Prime and what those Buffs been doing. And just really thinking about it. I mean, we've been talking about what Shedeur has done. And this last game, it's 2 weeks in a row. And another JSU player has emerged. Cameron Silverman Craig. We even saw Willie Gaines get in at the end. Jeremiah Brown. I know he made a big tackle towards the end, the reserves are in, but they made a couple big tackles. These are the boys that everybody said cannot play at the Power 5 level. And it seems like every week they're further proven. It's not a fluke. Shedeur Sanders is leading the country, really. He's only 60 yards away from leading the country and passing, one game short of everybody else he's up against. The closest guy that's ahead of him, the only one, I think is a Hawaii quarterback, 60-yard difference. Just a couple more passes and he would have been leading the nation, even though he's played a whole game short. Heisman candidate, a Heisman winner from last year. It's about 100 yards behind him after playing one more game than him. Think about it. Shedeur has played 2 Power 5 teams. He's played a top 20 team and beat them, did over 500 yards. And he put up close to 400 this game. This is against Power 5 opponents. This is not against FCS schools like his opponents has been playing against, his competitors. Everybody else is playing these FCS schools that they claim is on the level that Shedeur is on. And he's still putting up greater numbers. Now, what am I saying? Did Coach Prime really do what he promised? I mean, let's just really think about it. We're now seeing that these players are performing. And I saw it from the beginning. I saw it. If these players perform and compete on this level, what does that do for the SWAC? What does that do for Jackson State? What does that do for the FCS? Does that eliminate the possibility that these guys can play? Does that make more scouts now go to their schools? Does that make the scouts say, could we be missing something? Can we no longer say, hey, they're doing it at this level, but he can't do it? See, the more Shedeur, the more Savion Wilkinson, who had a touchdown in the first game, and a couple big runs, the more Cameron Silverman Craig, the more Jeremiah Brown, the more Travis Hunter, he counts, the more these guys perform, and not only perform, but be on an undefeated, a dominating team, the more and the more they perform, Coach Prime's actually doing a bigger favor than you would ever understand. Especially if you don't get that hate out your heart. Let's call it what it is. He's removing an actual barrier now. It's a new reality. He's opened up a door for maybe other players to come to the Power 5. Or at the very least, that you would have some kind of respect. Let me tell you, I remember the SWAC. They had some big, strong running backs. I think it was Alabama A&M. I remember Alcorn had a big running back. I mean, a big, strong running backs. Look just like them boys at TCU. And I was like, man, this boy can play anywhere. And he was tough. There's no way that guy should not have a chance at the NFL. But were the scouts looking? Or do the scouts get to underestimate what he's able to do? That's what he's doing. He's probably doing more, putting a spotlight back on the talent that he's brought from these conferences. He's probably doing more at this level than what he could have ever done beating up everybody at the SWAC. And I saw that. People are angry that he left and saying what he was going to do. He's putting a bigger light and a bigger message, because if he had dominated there, they could just say, hey, but you couldn't do it anywhere else. So he did it there, and he's doing it there, and he's doing it on another level, and he's doing it even better. And he's actually doing exactly what he said. He's putting that light on the SWAC. He's putting that light on the FCS. He's putting that light on the HBCUs. Are you still not getting it? Are you all still not getting it? It should be even more clear than ever. If you didn't get it at first, you should get it now. Him winning is the best thing that could have happened for the SWAC. He even brought some SWAC coaches. He brought a SWAC head coach with him as an analyst. He's showing not only the players are good enough, he is showing that the coaches have the competence to even coach at that level. His assistant coach, who was at Jackson with him, Coach Flea, he was a head coach at Howard. Now imagine this, that they dominate so well that it opened up doors for these coaches. And these coaches' background, guess what? They're not just black. There are former HBCU coaches on this tree of his. Several. Think about that. How many HBCU coaches outside of Coach Prime have you seen have a chance to go and coach at a Power 5 level? It's so much bigger. Maybe it'll hit one day, but you really should see it. You should have seen it by now. This man is doing more than barking and hollering racism. And he's producing, he's opening doors by the fact that he's even at the Power 5, the fact that he's even at Colorado out of all places is the best thing that could happen. You should be behind him 100%. You shouldn't be wishing, should have never wished his demise, because him winning is bigger than your hurt feelings. Him winning is bigger than he left and he didn't do what he said. He's actually doing it. Because every win and every record and every accomplishment that these boys had that just was at Jackson State last year, they have to point back to who they played for last year. The same way they have to point back to Weaver and Horn, who was at South Florida last year, or any other player, McClendon, that was at Florida State. They can't ignore the fact that every time these boys make an impact, they were at Jackson State. And you definitely can't eliminate the fact that their coach was there for 2 years. You're benefiting. Ride that wave. Don't feel a certain way about it. Is anybody else catching that? Is anybody else thinking that by now? I mean, they've referenced it so many times on the media by now. This football team is going to be on the big noon, on the big stage, 3 weeks in a row. I don't think that's ever happened. They were scheduled to be on the first one and the second one, which is unique. And then they came back. They basically headliners for 3 weeks in a row on a major platform, Fox Sports. And every week so far, those Jackson State boys have showed up. Not including Shador and Travis. All of them have made plays. They're not on the bench. They're not guys who say, oh, they're not talented enough or they can't do this. They're doing the same thing they did. Defense, making interceptions, making tackles the same way. Savion making runs the same way. Shador making throws the same way. Willie Gaines got out there and made some catches the same way. They're going to get more opportunities. Y'all got to see this thing for what it is. If you feel like somebody's been excluded and looked over, he's doing his part. He's doing his part. And only God knows what it's really preparing for or how it's going to impact people later. But for now, you need to see it for what it is and appreciate it. Again, Greg said it. Like, share, subscribe. And I'll see y'all real soon.